Hey, peace, world. Thanks for present playing another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. Get into some bite down boxing presented by Pay Me No Mind. The boxing, like I said, man, the boxing calendar is, you know, you kind of looking at what can be held on to in late May, and then hopefully things in June, can remain in place, but may need to be shifted around a little bit. So new news is kind of tough to come by right now. But I got a couple of points to talk about the WBC and Franchon Crews-Dezurn. Kind of where are you with your matchroom boxing? I mean, matchroom with your DAZN subscription, and then we saw some the announcement or talks of Canelo and Triple G being tentatively agreed to. And then I saw an article out there about Ishe Smith catching some flack from for his position on defending or kind of disregarding the whole Glovegate controversy. So that's kind of the four things to touch on real quick. Getting to Franchon Crews and the situation stemming from her controversial loss to Alejandra Jimenez, which cost her WBC and WBO titles. The WBO belt, she has been reinstated as their champion. The WBC, and it's funny because they have the clean boxing program, and are trying to lead the way in all these different in a couple of different areas of fighter safety and whatnot. But here it is where there was a clear violation of the rules, clear cheating by Jimenez. But it looks like their final decision is that Franchon will have to face the next highest rated fighter, which is Alicia Napoleon Espinosa. Excuse me, to get her WBC title back. This they're dropping the ball here. I mean, plain and simple. If you have a bad test, I think there is something still going on out here about the B sample still needing to be, or there's a window that's out here for Jimenez to look into the B sample or to have it reviewed and whatnot and go through the process. But it shouldn't be this dragged out. This prolonged. The process should be quicker than this. And I think obviously, in a fight that could have went in Franchon's favor to begin with, she should be reinstated as champion. And in the WBC, man, in some weeks, in some months, they're praised, as having this great title and this, all of this prestige and whatnot that's associated with it. And, Suleiman makes his rounds with different members of the media, different podcasts. Still we haven't, I still don't understand what the benefit is or the legitimacy of the franchise tag is from them. But it just depends on where you are with them, man. But in this situation right here, return that belt to Franchon. And then, one thing that complicates her having to face Alicia Napoleon Espinosa is the fact that Espinosa is coming off of a loss to Ellen Cieteros. So do the right thing there. Moving on to the matchroom situation. That's how the note that I made to the DAZN situation. I was trying to figure out how to make this story short and how to tell it correctly, because I can't remember how this economics teacher told this to me, but with the cost, justifying the cost of DAZN or just respecting what they've tried to do and bring to the game. I had this econ teacher who gave a little analogy or anecdote, that when microwaves were invented or introduced to the market, say they cost $1,500, And, as soon as they got to the right scale, outsourced the manufacturing and all of that, the price quickly came down to like, say $500 for easy math. So, and then there was another product out there that somebody was trying to sell, and American consumers were like, damn, that's expensive. Why do I have to pay XYZ for this? This is expensive as hell. And then, the market is like, okay, well, we just saved you $1,000 on microwaves. Like you have this new $1,000 to play with, and now you still bitching. And I think that's kind of similar to in other words, consumers are never pleased or never happy. And I think here with DAZN, they came in the game as trying to offer a way for you to continue following the sport, but it's just been met with all of this resistance and pushback and questions and so on and so forth. But again, I think overall, it's been a plus. It's definitely been one for me. But anyway, I saw earlier that a pretty well-known writer, tweeted about, that he canceled his DAZN subscription today. And I'm just like, damn, a few days into the this new world with COVID-19, that's not the first thing that I'm worried about doing is going out and canceling my DAZN subscription. But I'm not trying to pat anybody else's pocket, spend anybody else's money. That the $9.99 the grandfather, for those that were grandfathered, that's getting ready to end. I don't know if it was March or May, but that was getting ready to go away. And then, the only option is the year pass for $100. You can easily divide that by, $99.99 divided by 12. You see what that is. Or there's the $19.99 per month option. Very easy decision on what you want to do. But those of us, I'm locked in for the year. I went on and got it out the way to try to capture that savings. And you got to admit, with the shows that you've already had this year, the one from Frisco, Texas, the Miami one at the beginning of the year, and then what was the big card that was scheduled for April. It wasn't like DAZN wasn't putting together a pretty decent 2020 calendar coming off of their whole fight season campaign that ended, the fourth quarter of 2019. So, but anyway, to sit out here and kind of make this, I'd have to think like it was some kind of agenda, with putting it out there like this is what I'm doing. Like I would have just canceled it. But I was looking through some of the different comments and well, I guess what I'm saying is DAZN Matchroom just put out its statement on the 17th. They even sent out the email announcing what they were doing with their decisions. And, everything was pushed back. March, April dates were canceled, so on and so forth. So then you look at what is DAZN going to do. This is the 19th. It isn't like they've had a bunch of time to make adjustments and make a decision as far as should we suspend subscriptions, should we give a discount, should we make a statement that we're going to we're going to monitor the situation, see how long boxing is held up, and then we'll adjust accordingly. But, like I said, I guess for me, I'm locked in. So the whole month-to-month issues that's not a concern of mine. So I haven't had to make a decision in that area. But like I said, the leniency that's given to DAZN is just kind of something interesting to watch. If you have other subscriptions to other premium cable channels, Showtime, HBO, Stars, I can't tell you the last time that I watched a new movie that I knew when a movie was going to make its debut on one of these services. Whereas maybe 10 years ago, I did keep track when a new movie was coming to HBO. A new movie was coming from the theater or from a DVD to Showtime. That was 10 years ago. Now I don't keep track. I don't even know if I really watch movies on HBO and Showtime anymore. I did just renew my subscription to HBO, getting ready for Insecure to come back. I'm checking out The Outsider. And then, I probably will do a 4 month or, 3 to 5 month subscription and then be out until I see, what the next round is. Showtime, I don't watch much with Billions being out of season. Waiting to see if they're gonna bring back I'm Dying Up Here, the series about stand up comedy. I just kind of don't know where I am just yet, with Showtime. I mean, they were doing the Showbox situation. So, like I said, it's just like for years, it's been somewhat, we've just gone along with these subscriptions. But now that we're dealing like with DAZN, it's like, man, DAZN has to make a decision right every week, or I'm out. And it's $10. Just seems a little. I feel for the struggle, for them to do what they're trying to do in this climate. It's interesting to say the least. To speak more DAZN business, whether or not you're in for the trilogy with Triple G and Canelo, it is kind of awkward. Or it's noticeable that somebody like Mannix and some other media guys are good with the trilogy. It's a couple of guys that even stated, this is one of the best fights to be made. Still, they're vocal about their interest in this fight. And so on and so forth. But I think to look at DAZN as being ignorant to want this fight and to have wanted this fight when they originally wanted to stage it a year ago, I believe. I can't understand how we don't at least understand what their intentions was, how this was part of their strategy, how this was important to them. Like I said, I don't know if I mentioned this yesterday, but I feel like they went out and tried to do good by a wide variety of fighters. They've offered fights, they've offered deals, those haven't always panned out. But again, here with this situation, to take Canelo, with them coming in new to the game, with them taking Canelo and them picking up Triple G down the months after, and then kind of envisioning having that fight as one of the pay-per-view caliber fights that they broadcast or stream. I don't see how that's like complete ignorance on their behalf. It's just not a fight that's universally that has universal appeal or demand, but it's not the worst fight that can be made. Especially with the others who have declined to take the money. So that's just kind of where I am on that. Like I said, I think they've like agreed in principle, or they verbally, agreed to everything, but nothing has been signed. And then both guys have interim bouts to take care of before that would happen. So we kind of have to see how the schedule is pushed back and go from there. The last thing, this Ishe Smith situation. This was an article on World Boxing News. I don't really read a whole bunch of World Boxing News articles, but it popped up on my Google feed or whatever. And, the writer was just talking about the treatment, the backlash for Ishe Smith for continuing to speak out against Glovegate and the fact that he doesn't agree with it. And in doing so, he kind of caught some of the same flack as me. You can't question Wilder. You can't question things that negatively impacted Wilder. You can't support a white fighter against Wilder. Black people, all of that type of stuff. And if you do oppose any of that, you are, a coon, a sellout, XYZ, whatever. And again, man, these things kind of they mean nothing to me. Somebody call you a coon. Even looking at some of the flag that Stephen A. Smith catches sometimes, and hearing him defend his position and what he does, his position on different topics. You can't live your life, man, trying to appease everybody. And you got to understand that for somebody to call you a coon, like the second we go back and forth on an issue, and the second time that the person has to respond, the criticizer has to respond to my point of view, the second time that you speak, you start hurling insults at me, calling me a coon, the N-word, a Tom, etc., etc. It's really I'm not speaking to somebody we're not on the same level. I'm not saying we're not on equal levels, or I'm smarter or whatever. But we just rock differently, and that's cool. We need to kill this conversation. That's it. It's nothing more for us to say. I hear what you're saying. The people that disagree with me and my viewpoint, my stance on this glove gate situation, I understand your concern. But again, I think I had some basic things that I looked at. For some of the people that were showing you these videos, instead of yelling and instead of N-word this, N-word that, blah, 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 put together a solid presentation and explain to me, give me the timeline. You're saying the gloves were loose? Were they loose in the first round? I don't think so. Did some things happen over the course of the fight that may have caused the gloves to loosen? How long were they loose? Was it ever a point where Reese came in and adjusted the gloves or noticed that the gloves were loose? But you got to understand, there's no timeouts in boxing. So equipment malfunctions and all of this type of injuries, a lot of times the fight just does not get stopped to address everything. Hell, you need the right situation for a mouthpiece to get reinserted sometimes. You've seen guys clinch and come out of the clinch, and the referee is holding the mouthpiece and still tells them to box instead of jumping in or on that, taking the fighter over to the corner, getting it rinsed off and put back in. So, again, for me to just go along with some of these different videos and pictures that were put out there, it's some pictures that somebody is saying is this, what is it, the Zapruder film? Like, this is red-handed right here. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, what am I supposed to be seeing? And this is this person's go-to piece of evidence. Nah, I didn't really agree with that, bro. I mean, I really ain't. I'm really not seeing what you're seeing. Sorry, but again, and I say this because I actually watched the video last night. I don't remember what channel it was, but this person actually went through and showed different rounds earlier in the fight, and said right here, the glove appears to be on. Next round, because of this, the glove appears to be on. Next 7th round, he does. Fury does this. And this would indicate that the fist is all the way in the glove. That was one of the better videos that I've seen. Now, that doesn't support Glovegate and the controversy. But like I said, at least come in and don't just put information out for me and expect me to buy into what you're saying. Like I said, give me as much detail as possible. And with the different individuals that were involved in this, all full circle. I just couldn't sit here and say that something wrong really happened. Another major obstacle here, another major hindrance for me to just buy into this. Don't show me first fight footage 14 months later and just expect me to just buy into this. Like, in my opinion, a lot of these arguments are making me question what's going on with Team Wilder. Did you look at any of this footage afterwards and think to say, hey, we need to check into this. I want this reviewed. so on and so forth. But it doesn't appear that any of that happened. And then again, in the second fight, I really just didn't see anything involving a floppy glove being the difference in that fight. Lastly, another thing on this issue, for those that want to call you, names and insults and whatnot, I don't really know what I say I give a little coverage of boxing, I give some commentary on boxing, but I'm not trying to create the story of boxing. I'm not trying to lead the discussion. I'm not trying to lead and make the news. That's not my role. I see something and I say something. And then I maybe analyze that a little bit or give my views on that. But, now you got people running with Fury his camp is a racist. I'm protesting something. I'm filing something. I'm sending something to INSAC. I want something done, blah, blah, blah. That's not my role. So what I'm getting to is, yeah, I saw some things in the first fight that looked abnormal. But there's a process for any fighter who's been wrong. It's a process for them to follow, to address, to appeal things. And my expectation is that fighter or that team or that manager or that promoter or whatever should all be instrumental in making that happen. And then we see what happens. But it's not for me to sit here and convince you and that's different. That's something different. That's not my role in that thing. And so, like I said, I mainly spoke on it after hearing something. I guess what I reported, quote unquote, was that Roy Jones spoke on the situation, and that I kind of agreed with Roy's opinion on the matter. And then I kind of went into a couple of other things. But again, like, just because we disagree, I don't know how we immediately go to things being adversarial because we have opposing viewpoints. And that's kind of emblematic of where we are with social media, and just kind of the how civility has been downgraded with the advent or rise of social media. And then you got to make up your mind if you want to be a part of that or not. And I really don't choose to on some levels. So Ishe Smith, man, Steve Cunningham. You guys weighed in. It's been a bunch of other people out there, but it is what it is, kind of. Anyway, man, let me get on off here. Hopefully, I can move on completely from Glovegate unless something significant, like I said, if something is initiated and there is an investigation or something, besides Jack Reese or besides Kenny Bayless. If there is a formal complaint of some kind and an investigation is launched, other than that, it's not much more for me to speak on it. But I just thought it was interesting, what's going on with Ishe Smith. Let me get on off of here, man. Bite down boxers, don't let them count you out. Peace.